Hello lovelies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's video, I'll be making the pattern for this corset top and I'll be using my jean trouser for it. It's a flip DIY pattern tutorial. We'll be doing the pattern for it. To our subscribers, I want to say thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's jump right to it. I've already drafted the basic bodice pattern. This is the outline of it, the neckline and the sleeve line. I went ahead and marked the chest line, bust point, under bust, waist, and the blouse length. Remember, for the sleeve, you divide your shoulder by 2, and that is what we have. To mark the sleeve outline, you are going to divide your bust by 4 and you mark it. Then whatever you have, mark it there and find the midpoint. You take your tape and find the midpoint of your armhole and you divide it into 2. After dividing it into 2, mark it out and come in by ½ an inch. That's going to be for the front. Or when you do that you have gotten your front. Then for the back, you just connect it directly to your shoulder. So when you are done with this part, we'll go ahead and start with our pattern for the corset top. You're going to take your tape and on the bust point line, you divide your nipple by nipple into 2. So the nipple by nipple measurement that I have is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 is 4. You mark it on the bust point, the under bust, the waist, and the blouse length where you want the corset to stop. If you want it to stop directly on the waist, you leave it. But I added 1 inch because of the sewing allowance. That was why I did that. So what you are going to do now, after marking it, take your ruler and connect it, the lines. After connecting it, on that bust point line, you come down by 1 inch. That is going to be our new line for the bust point. Then go over to your waist and divide 1 by 2. So when you divide 1 by 2, you'll be having ½ an inch on both sides. Mark ½ an inch on both sides and connect it to that 1 inch that we came down from the bust point. When you are done with that part, you go over to your shoulder and divide that shoulder line by 2. The shoulder line that I have was 5 inches because that's the shoulder line. Then you divide by 2 and what I have was 2.5. If yours is 4 inches, divide by 2 is going to be 2 inches. You are going to connect it down to your bust point. This is what we have. The next thing you're going to do is take the distance from your bust point down to your under bust. And what I have was 4 inches. And that 4 inches, I'm going to mark it round. Do the same thing for yours. Make sure the tip of your tape is at the middle of the bust point line. That's the tip of your tape. Please don't let it leave it and do it round. When you are done, you go over to the dart that we have on the 2 sides, that line that I just marked, and come out by ½ an inch on the line that I just marked. You see the dart line that we drew, that ½ an inch that we drew earlier. So you come out by ½ an inch and you do the same thing on both sides. You mark it on the left and also on the right. Then after doing that, you are going to connect it down to the blouse length or the waist. It depends on how you want it to be. Connect it to the tip of that ½ an inch on the dart ½ an inch on the waistline or the blouse length. So do it. It's going to be like a triangular shape. So it's going to be like a dart shape. When you are done with that part, I'm just going to use my marker to show you the lines. Take your curve ruler and connect it. That place that I marked just now with the marker, take your curve ruler and connect it the same way. Just give it a curve and you've gotten the first part of our corset. So just connect it. Take your measurement in between the new dart line that we have and what you have, you are going to mark it upward. I had 1½ inch and I'm going to mark it. So on the central front, the side that is cut on fold, you'll be marking ½ an inch, while this central side, you'll be marking 1 inch. So do the same thing for yours. After doing that, you'll be connecting it downward. Connect it to your bust point. So connect it to that bust point line. When you are done connecting it, you are going to use your curve ruler from that bust point and connect it to the 1 inch that we came down. You just use your curve ruler to give it a bit of a curve. After doing that, you go over to your chest line and you come down by half an inch. But if you don't want to do that, you can use your chest line that you have. So it's important for you to decide how you want it to be. You can come down by 1 inch, you can come down by half an inch. Then go in by half an inch and connect it. In order to avoid gaping on your dart, on the upper part of the dart, you are going to come out by 1/4 of an inch. Mark it on both sides and connect it down to your bust point line. It's going to be our new dart. That's going to be our new dart. I'm going to use my marker to just mark out the old one to indicate that we won't be needing that one. When you are done, connect it from the tip of that new dart down to the half an inch that we came out with. We are trying to get the cup area now. After connecting that part, you are going to take your curve ruler also and connect it down to the dart on the under bust. You take your curve ruler and connect it. Be very careful while connecting yours. This is it. We are trying to get the other side now. You find the midpoint from the that armhole that you have, that straight line to your bust line that you marked, your bust measurement. Find the midpoint. Whatever you have, you are going to come down by half an inch. Come down by half an inch. What you are going to do after getting the half an inch, after coming down by half an inch, you are going to draw a straight line across it, because that is going to be our new armhole line. That's what we are going to use. Then take your curve ruler and connect it to the tip of the other dart. You connect it to the tip of the new dart that we got for the upper part. You connect it and use your curve ruler also to connect from that half an inch down to your under bust. You see what I'm doing? Do the same thing for yours. After achieving that, we've gotten our cup. On the side of the cup, you come down by 2.5 inches. You come down by 2.5 inches. Then you can use 2 inches for yours, but I'm using 2.5 inches. On the inside, I'll be using 3 inches. So I'll be marking 3 inches on the inside of both of the cup. So you do the same thing for yours. I did 2.5 inch on the outside. On the inside, I marked 3 inches. That's to get the upper part of our cup. It's a 3-piece cup effect. That's what we are going to do. 3-piece corset. So we are going to mark it. For the cup is 3 pieces. So we're having left, right, and the upper part. So take your curve ruler and connect it to the 3 inches on the inside and connect it again to the other 3 inches and the 2.5 inches. This is what we have. I'm going to use my marker to just draw the lines so that you'll be able to see it clearly. And we are going to mark our bust body measurement. We'll be inserting it. So you take the midpoint, that mid area, and whatever you have, you add it to your measurement. Remember, my bust point was 10.5, so I marked the 10.5. I added the 1.5 inch from the dart that we add and 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So I had to extend the lines for me to be able to get accurate measurement. So you do the same thing for yours. Whatever you have at the upper part of the corset, you are going to add it and add your sewing allowance, 1.5 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch for sewing and 1/2 inch for ease. But you can use 1 inch if you don't want it to have that ease. You want it to be very fitted and tight. So on the waist, I mark the dart. The dart that I have was 1 inch. That was what we had. I used earlier. So that 1 inch, you add it to your waist measurement and 1.5 inch. My waist measurement was 8.5. I marked it. Then I went ahead and marked the 1 inch for the dart. After marking the 1 inch for the dart, I added the 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So you do the same thing for yours. So we're adding the sewing allowance to it. So take your ruler and connect it down to your waistline. So we've gotten our front piece, our corset for the front piece. So what you do is, this part that I'm marking now is what we'll be using for our corset. When you finish cutting it, we are going to tape it together. Remember, we are cutting out those dart lines. We have to cut it out. I'm going to cut mine and show you how it looks when I'm done cutting. After cutting it, that upper part of our bra cup, we are going to tape it together. You can tape it together and use it the same way, or you transfer it to a new pattern paper. Okay, so I use both sometimes. Sometimes after taping it out, I throw away the part that I taped out, or I use the part that I taped out. So it depends on how you want to do yours. If you want to use it taped together, if you want to use it after being transferred, it all depends on you. So you do the same thing for yours. I use my marker to trace it out to get the upper part of our bra cup or corset cup. After tracing it, you start your labeling. So the upper part is 1, then we label it 1, then the other part we label it 2. So I'm going to use my pen to mark the direction on how to join it to it, and this is the side. So you'll be adding 1/2 inch when cutting it round. So I'm going to just add it 1/2 inch on all the pieces together. Do the same thing for the central front. Okay, so we'll be using this central front and we'll be using it to cut out our back piece. So this is basically the front part of the corset. Can you see it? This is the front part. I'm going to use the central front to cut out the corset. So use the front piece, you place the side and the central front, and you mark the 1 inch that we use for our dart. If you have a masking tape, it's going to be very helpful for you. You are going to just tape it and you can easily remove it, but because I don't, that was why I'm just using it this way. So you mark it and you've gotten that part, you trace the sides together. So use your ruler, be very careful when tracing it, and you trace it. You can use freehand or your ruler, but I use freehand for mine. Trace it out. Give it a tiny curve, then come down by 1 inch on the central back and connect it to the upper part of the side back. So this is it. Then you come in by 4 inch for your dart, that nipple to nipple measurement. Mark it with a straight line and you are going to cut. Remember, we are going to later, after cutting that on the fabric, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do so that we have the opening at the back. So what you are going to do is just mark your 1/2 inch, connect the dart. This is just the pattern tutorial. For the sewing tutorial, I'll be showing you what I did, the adjustment I made for the sewing tutorial. Okay, so I'll show you that when I'm done stitching. I'm going to put a video on how to sew this corset top. Okay, I'll be doing that and posting it soon. Now we are going to take away the dart. So take your scissors and you cut out the edge and you tape it together this way. This is the back piece. So just mark the back piece. We are going to cut out from it later on. You cut 2 pieces, and this one you cut central front, cut on fold, cut 1 piece. Then this other one, the side front, you cut out 2 pieces. Then the upper part of the bra cup, you cut 2 pieces. The 2 sides of the bra cup, you cut 2 pieces each. I just want to explain the pieces that you're going to cut for each of them. Mark it and label everything so that you're able to know what you are cutting, how you are going to cut it. So you can do this and you can give to someone and the person will be able to make the corset with the instruction written on them. This is it. I'm going to use my old jean for it. I'm going to show you how I transform my jean trouser to a corset top. This is the old jean trouser. So you're going to take it and cut out every piece and do the same thing for the front and the back. I won't be showing you every part of it while cutting. I just want to show you that this is the jean trouser. If you have old jean, you don't need to throw them away. You can reuse them to make something for yourself. That's basically what I did for my corset. I used the old jean to cut out every piece. Thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. If you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. On our next video, I'll be showing you how to join everything together, how to bring this corset top to life. Bye guys.